Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video I want to talk about the importance of sparring and specifically at full power, full speed. Okay, now this is a channel where we talk about historical fighting with the medieval sword and shield, and we've already talked about that there aren't any manuals that specifically tell us how to fight with a full-size war shield and a sword. So we're using, we're pulling from other material to help us. Okay. Now some of the things that we're pulling from is the German longsword, the sword and buckler techniques, but I'm also pulling from my SCA experience because there's a lot of stuff that I see as far as SCA fighting that is very similar to what is shown in the historical manuals. Okay, so basically, and that's one of the highlights of this channel. I'm using, I'm using my experience of 15 years of fighting in the SCA with sword and shield, and then looking at the sword and buckler manuals and the and the longsword manuals, and basically it's just clicking that a lot of this stuff is pretty much the same. And I'm able to make that connection. Okay, so in this video I want to talk about why, if you're really interested in swordsmanship, you really need to get into armor and fight at full power and full speed. Now, people say, well, what if I do, fight out of armor with just a fencing mask and maybe some elbow pads, and some knee pads. Well, here's the thing. You're not going to be able to really go at full power, full speed, because if you're fighting people at full power, full speed with a blunt sword, you're going to hurt them or hurt yourself. Okay, so basically, when we fight with blunt swords, with almost no armor, what that means is that we both have to go slower, and we can't really put everything we have into the blow. For example, if we're fighting, okay, and if we're out of armor and we're wearing a fencing mask, and basically we say, okay, basically that is a good blow, right? That's a very light blow, But here's the thing: I can make that blow with just closing my hand, okay, and I can make it really quick, right? I'm not even moving my arm, okay? I'm just closing my hand, and through that push pull, I can make I can make a strike that's good enough for you to acknowledge that, hey, the sword hit you. And in fact, on this wood over here, right? With here's a clean spot right here. Just by closing my hand, I just nicked that wood right there. So basically, if I did that to your head or to your forearm, that could actually break your bone. Okay, so in unarmored combat, that might actually be good enough. For male combat, though, that's not good enough. For male combat, basically, we need to, I'll do it this side so you can see me. You need to use hip, chest, arm, okay? You need to get more of your body into the cuts in order for it to be effective. Now, mind you, with medieval combat, one of the prime goals was to capture other knights so you can ransom them. So rendering them injured was actually preferable to killing them. So that's why a lot of these techniques are actually very valid against fighting guys in male, because we really don't want to kill them. We actually want to capture them. Okay, preferably we can break a bone. If we can break, bones are pretty easy to mend. Not easy, but they can be mended. They didn't know how to mend bones during that period. So if you can break a bone, capture the knight, basically you can get money out of that. Okay, but let's get back to the focus here. Why you need to fight at full power, full speed. As I was starting to say, if we're going to do medieval combat and we're only wearing a fencing mask and maybe some knee pads and elbow pads, if we're competing, basically if this is all I need to do to score a point and beat you, that's all I'm going to do. Okay, so the rules determine how I fight. Okay, if we get you into armor, right, and we say that the blows need to be of a much higher calibration. Now, mind you, when we do that, we can't use bladed swords like these, because these can break bone. What we typically use is we use rattan, which is round wood. And what that does is still, like let's say, if you hit somebody on the forearm, instead of concentrating all the force on that tiny edge, okay, and breaking the bone, it spreads it out. So there's, I mean, bones have been known to be broken in SCA combat, but usually we don't break bones, okay? You know, and basically, you know, if you feel that you're vulnerable in a particular area, you can always put more armor there, okay? So the point is, though, when we get you in armor and we're fighting fully calibrated blows, at that point, I'll tell you that if you hit me with that, I'm going to say, nope, no good, you know, that just scratched me. That's going to force you to use better technique. You're going to now use your hips, use your shoulders, use your arms, okay? You're going to throw more realistic blows for the type of combat that we're talking about, which is you know, fighting with mail armor during the medieval period. I mean, if your period, if the period that you're trying to simulate is a later period, let's say like the 18th century, where people didn't wear armor, where you know, by all means, now we're talking about rapier fencing, and I also do rapier fencing. Okay, if we're going to do rapier fencing, yeah, I'm out here, you know, I'm looking to just thrust you. You know, if I'm going to make a cut, it's going to be a really light cut like that from distance. Okay, because you're not wearing any armor at all. Okay, but in order for you to fully understand medieval combat, you need to try SCA combat because basically because of the hitting calibration, it's going to force you to fight at full power, full speed. Now, if you look at, I've actually posted some videos of me fighting. Okay, you guys should check out those videos. Specifically, what I want you to look at is the speed of the swords when we're throwing those shots. Okay, and how quickly they are. I mean, you can actually see. I mean, when I throw my shots, right? And there's a lot of people who have posted videos on the internet with sword and shield instruction, and I'm not knocking them, but I want you to look at those videos and look at the sword speed. All right, when they cut, can you see the sword? And the chances are yes. If they're doing these light cuts like that, you know, I've seen some videos. And again, I'm not knocking anybody, but you know, I've seen some videos where they're doing like a lot of thrusty stuff like that. You know, and they're making these cuts like that. You can see the sword, okay? Look at my videos, okay? When I cut, can you see the sword tip? Okay? Okay? Look at the speed of the cuts, okay? It's very hard for you to see, you know, to see the actual sword itself. What that means is that you need to look at other parts of my body to get an idea of where the sword is going. So now instead of looking at the sword tip, right, you're looking at my arm. Okay, you're looking at my arm to figure out where I am throwing. Okay, and you know, what cuts am I making? And the other thing is that, you know, when somebody throws a shot, what you're going to learn to do is you're going to learn to anticipate, based on where the positioning of their body, where that shot is likely to go. So if I see that shoulder coming forward on this side, you know, I'm basically in a guard like this, all right? You know, hands behind my shield, you know, I'm up here like this, okay? And you know, and basically maybe I even squat down a little bit, but I'm basically anticipating that you know, I'm basically turtling up. I'm anticipating the shot's probably going to come somewhere on this side. If it comes to this side, the sword's already in the position to block it. So based on the shot that I see, I'm already, you know, I immediately get into a guard that will block it. Now, through the type of combat that I do, as soon as I feel that impact, right? So they throw a shot on me, right? I feel it. What I do is I train myself to immediately counterpunch, okay? And that's not something that's not a skill that you're going to develop unless you're actually doing this, okay? So I don't actually see their sword because I'm coming over here like this. I'm going. As soon as I feel their sword hit my shield or my sword, okay, I'm immediately going to throw a shot. You know, and that's based on Lichtenauer's principle of feeling, right? It's a different type of feeling. It's not feeling on the blade, it's feeling on my shield, okay? You know, so as soon as I feel that, I'm going to try and seize the initiative. By me immediately counterpunching, what it's going to do is it might stop them from throwing the second shot. Because what I want to do is I want to get them, you know, I want to, because when somebody's throwing at me, they probably have a series of combinations already in their mind. So they want to come here, they want to come high Zwerchow, you know, middle how, maybe do another Zwerchow up there. Okay, they've already got that programmed into their head. As soon as I feel that shot, right, come in, but I feel that shot, as soon as I feel it on my shield, if I immediately cut to the leg, right, what that's going to do is it might interrupt their pattern, because then the guy's going to be like, oh, holy shit, this guy's doing something. In which case now I can seize the initiative. So these are some concepts that Lister now talks about feeling, about Indes, you know, the before and the after that he talks about, you know, you need to try and seize that initiative, and these are certainly the things that you're not gonna get this unless you're actually doing it, and doing it at full power and full speed. So thanks for watching. If you have any comments, please post them. If you're not a member, please subscribe. Talk to you guys next time.